Hello everyone, Derek's Damn Toys, and we are here with another action figure review. Today we've got 2-in-1. I know I did the first two individually, but to be honest, I kind of just want to knock this set out of the way so I can finish the Build-A-Figure John Cone. And well, as you can also potentially tell, these boxes are really messed up. So when I bought the used new option, I want to say it was, I guess they weren't lying, they definitely were opened up. You can definitely see, even with the Lex Luger, they've got a different style of things to keep the wrist in place. So I'm gonna have a interesting time getting this out of the box. But enough said, why don't we get these guys out of their plastic prisons so we can go over this Undertaker and this Lex Luger. Alrighty, you guys, now that we've got both men out of the plastic prisons, almost quite literally with the Lex Luger, just to kind of show that off a little bit, because god damn, that was a hard figure to get out. But of course, we've got all the accessories laid out, so we are going to go over those first. Thankfully, one does not have as much as the other, but the other one, I think, at least deserved something a bit more than just a hat. Of course, I'm talking about the jacket that he is literally seen wearing in the back of the packaging. Of course, just an Amazon logo pretty much for Lex Luger. They decided they were just going to censor him up. Or aka, somebody tore through this package all excited to get this Lex Luger and then realized that, they didn't like the figure or some shit. I don't know. All I can say is I hope when we build the John Cone, obviously the hands and the arms for the referee look fine, but the legs, hopefully they're the right legs and nobody duped us here and sent in the wrong legs on purpose and just returned the Lex Luger because they didn't want the figure. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell when a lot of the Build-A-Figure legs are just black, so meh. But with that being said, of course, Lex Luger, he does also come with two different sets of hands. He's got mic holding hands and he's got fist hands that feel stiff as shit, I can't lie. Holy cow. So that's all you really get with him besides the legs for the referee John Cone. And then the Undertaker, you get quite a bit of different stuff, but a good majority of it is also for the referee John Cone. So he comes with two different sets of hands. You got pretty much the same hands, a set of fist hands, and a set of weapon holding / mic holding hands. And you also get an interchangeable head, which I do appreciate having this head in person, along with, another Undertaker hat that I realistically didn't need. But, these head scans, they do look pretty damn phenomenal here. Let's get this one looking up a little bit more. Both of them have BDI head scans, so it's kind of more for in the moment. But kind of a nice little thing to have if I ever decide to recreate the moment in action figure form. And if I don't, well, I've got an extra Undertaker body that I can do something with, potentially, if I ever do decide to maybe customize it or whatever. I'm not exactly too sure. But yeah, with all that being said, let's kind of knock these figures out of the way real quick, and then we can build the referee John Cone. Since we already kind of were starting on the Undertaker, we'll continue with him a bit more. Of course, you got the nice double jointed arms, which doesn't really look like that top half is bending all that much, but it does bend. I can see it a lot better on the camera than with my own eyes, which is the funny reality there. Maybe I am getting old. Anywho, good articulation on the Undertaker. I do like the tattoo decals and all that kind of stuff. He is also including the one on his neck, the cover up of the Sarah tattoo. Pretty decent ab crunch. Got nice waist articulation. He can sit down, but it is kind of a struggle to get his legs up. But it's not a struggle in the way that it usually is. So I can't complain too much about this. But overall, it is just a standard Undertaker. So take it or leave it. I can't really say too much when it comes to this Undertaker, but it is a pretty top tier figure, I'd say. Of course, if it came with the jacket, at least it would be maybe a must-get action figure for you, I guess you could say. But I don't know. I digress, as Taz would say. The Lex Luger, though, this is my first time owning a Lex Luger action figure, and I am not gonna lie, it's not really all that exciting. I didn't grow up during this era of Lex Luger and all the stars from this time period, but I do dig the all-American attire, from the gauntlets to the armbands to even the elbow pad and knee pads. His gear is just all Americanized. I do appreciate having the all-white boots as well. The articulation, thankfully, isn't terrible on him so far. You know, he can actually bend his knees and it doesn't feel like a chore. He can kick his legs forward, and that also doesn't feel like a chore. Of course, this is before the new boot mold, so it's just gonna have a little bit of ankle rock. Ab articulation is pretty well. It does move and pose around fairly well. It's just also not a figure that I would have went out of my way for if it wasn't for the John Cone. And honestly, if I sold figures, he'd probably be one of the very first ones that end up selling, because it's just one of those random buys to complete a Build-A-Figure wave, which is kind of one of those things that sucks. At least for me personally. You take a pretty decent wave and then you just throw in a random, like completely random name, I guess you could say. At least he's not necessarily random, but for me he is. He's not a name out of any one of those four that I would have gone out of my way for. But at least overall, he is a good figure. But with all that being said, why don't I shut up and we can build the referee John Cone, and then maybe we'll kind of review that figure up real quick and just kind of get into my overall thoughts here. Alrighty, you guys. Now that we've got the referee John Cone all built, we've got Lex Luger, pin and Taker, but Taker kicks out. Referee bump happened, so referee John Cone came and slid in for the count, but it did not matter, or whatever you would like to envision the scenario. Of course, as I did mention, the referee John Cone, I do enjoy it so far. The legs are moving smooth, the arms are nice. It doesn't really feel all too stiff. Like the torso bends fairly well. The ab crunch, the ab crunch and the torso bend are kind of the same thing here, pal. The double jointed arms move nice. The upper bicep that can be a little bit tedious, I guess you could say, but it's still fairly good on that note. And it doesn't have any terrible leg quality, so he can sit on his bum and you can put his legs back just as they were beforehand. Of course, gonna get them reposed back up in the way that I had them, or at least somewhat of the way I had them. But yeah, I do enjoy this referee John Cone. And when it comes to the whole Build-A-Figure wave itself, I do enjoy the figures. I just don't care about the Lex Luger in particular. I do appreciate the attentions to detail, like with the little flag banner things here, the way the knee pads look, the way the tights look with the waist wrap here, the elbow pad and all that. Of course, Taker himself isn't too shabby of a figure either. if you really want to, maybe go out of your way and grab these. If not, and you don't care enough to get the referee John Cone, completely understandable. But either way, I do dig having this referee in hand. Of course, it is going to be kind of weird if I use him in the pick fed, because he's got the WWE logo on his shirt, but maybe we can just say that he pulled a referee shirt out of his closet and was just ready to go on hand, no issues needed. And I will say this as well, I do appreciate the collar detail there on the shirt as well. It doesn't just make it look like a striped shirt like this one does, because there is just no collar there, it's just the cutoff. So yeah, with all that being said, what would we rate both of these figures on a scale, or well, all three of these figures on a scale of 1 to 10? The referee John Cone will go first because he is the Build-A-Figure, the most anticipated figure, and I'm just going to get that out of the way. So if you guys really want to, you can leave after that or wait till the outro if you're cool people, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, the John Cone, I am going to rate him a good solid 8 out of... I think a good solid 8 out of 10 will do. Of course, you have to buy 4 separate figures to get this figure in the first place. So that kind of drives the points down, of course, and we are actually technically getting him in a greatest hits line or whatever. So the Build-A-Figures are now going to be included in the standard elite line. So realistically, going out of my way didn't matter much, but if I do want to, now I can just pick up the Chase variant of this figure and get the SmackDown referee look. Anyway, with that being said, the Taker, I am going to throw him on a 7.5 because of course he does come with the most accessories as far as the John Cone is concerned. So he is a fairly integral part of this Build-A-Figure. I just also can't sit here and act like this Taker is all that special compared to any Undertaker that you may have in your collection. Of course, the double jointed arms are nice. The look is decent. But at the end of the day, it's just essentially the American Badass Taker resculpted with a modern day head scan on it and maybe modern day paint applications. And then the Lex Luger, I'm going to also give him a 8 out of 10 just because the figure is nice. He's just not a figure from my era, so I'm not very familiar with him, and I can't say that I'm going to go out of my way to watch his matches either. So yeah. Now, we of course do the Meltzer rating, of course the 1 to 5 star, the 1 to Young Buck match, based off the 1 to 10 scale for all the wrestling fans. So we gave John Cone an 8 out of 10 and Lex Luger an 8 out of 10, so both of those guys can get a good solid 4 out of 5 stars. And the Taker I gave a 7.5, right? I gave him 7.5. Well, I'm not going to go back and rewatch it and correct myself, so 7.5 is going to stick. If it wasn't that in the first place, could have been 7. Either way, we're going to give him a good solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. So whether it was 7 or 7.5, he would have gotten that 3.5 either way. And I don't have all that much more left to say, so if you liked the video, feel free to like the video. If you did not like the video, womp womp, I guess, but at least it's not taking me almost a half an hour to review these figures, just about 15 minutes. Anyways, if you would like to, feel free to go check out some of my other action figure reviews and pick fed content. I did, change up the arena a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. It's still kind of a little bit of a work in progress, nothing too unfamiliar, but I did try to switch it up enough to where it actually felt unique, especially after the pay-per-view. I just can't say exactly when I plan to work on further pick-fed stuff at the moment. Of course, I do plan to put out the main event to Ladder War as soon as I possibly can, but after that, I do kind of plan to take at least a small little break and kind of plan how I want to do Chaos Theory from here on out, because I want to do the highlight videos. But man, that's all whatever. I'm not gonna ramble your ears off. Maybe in like a video I can go over how like the pick fed stuff may work from here on out, and maybe just go over like the timeline so far of what happened in the pick fed from day one to now. Anywho, with all that being said, I don't know if I mentioned the other videos, but I do also do unboxings and stuff of that nature. So feel free to go check out any one of those types of content, plus the random miscellaneous shit, I guess you could say, that I do end up doing. And well, yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to this. So at the end of the day, feel free to go, check me out and maybe follow me on Instagram. If not, maybe feel free and kind to go out of your way to add to the sub count. Feel free to subscribe. After all, it is free to subscribe, and we are currently sitting at 328 subs. So, if we can get to that 350 mark, I might be a giddy little shit, I guess you could say, and geek out, because never would have thought I would have made it that far, let alone to 100/200, 300. So, every like 50 yard mark, I guess you could say, or 50 subscriber mark, I kind of get a little giddy, because my channel is actually growing. And well, as a kid, I would have loved to have done this way sooner, but at the end of the day, it really don't matter. At least I'm doing it now. And with all that being said, I don't have much more to say. Like I said like 5 minutes ago, of course, and then went on a fucking ramble. So, with all that being said, at the end of the day, have a good rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever the case may be. I don't know, because I am not in your time zone, but if I were, would I at least enjoy my time there? Who knows? But on that note, we are out of here. So, deuces, ooses, yeet. There we go. That's better.